All right, we're going to go ahead and officially get started. Welcome to the webinar. My name is Skip Everling. I'm the head of developer relations here at Kalena. Today, our topic is going to be all about the future of real estate. And in particular, we're talking about AI automation for efficiency and growth. We're going to show off how these AI agents are extremely efficient at these document-intensive workflows, can handle a lot of the manual work that you might be bogged down with for a huge variety of use cases. We're going to take a look at three in particular today, but I want to stress that what I'm going to show is a general agent framework for handling all kinds of document tasks in the whole industry related to real estate. All these document types that I'm sure you're all drowning in the real estate industry. So as we get started here, just a quick word about what Kalena is. Kalena, we're an AI quality company, effectively. So we work with companies to help them to incorporate AI and build AI products into whatever service or product that they're providing. We work with a lot of big name companies. Some of them we've got listed here. Very happy to have these people as customers, and we've worked with them and learned from them over time to develop our own products and to help them develop as well. And now some of these companies are using the AI agents that I'm going to show off for you today. Just another note about our AI quality focus. That's really a big differentiator for us, is that we have many years of AI experience on the team and as a company. Last year, we hosted the AI Quality Conference here in San Francisco, where I'm based as well. We had a lot of excellent technology partners and regulatory partners present. A lot of great talks are available from this. If you want to check it out, you can go to aiqualityconference.com, or you can look for Kalena on YouTube. We have playlists there with talks from the conference as well as other webinars that we've given, including a couple. I just did one a couple of weeks ago, also on real estate. So if you're curious about that, you can find that there on YouTube. Our agenda for today, I'm going to make just a quick intro about what AI agents are for any of you that aren't familiar with this new term, and how they're really tailor-made for these document-intensive workflows and for workflow automation. And then I'm going to get quickly into a few use case demos. So I'm going to show you end-to-end the agent creation process, what it's like to start from scratch, basically, and then end up with an agent that's going to be ready to handle these tasks. It's going to be a very quick process. You'll see that it'll only take a few minutes, really, to get an agent going. So it's not as complicated as you might think. First demo we're going to take a look at is a lease abstraction agent with also with the framing of having it and creating an estoppel certificate. And the overarching narrative here is, thinking about, let's say, the different stages of a real estate investment deal. Say you are wanting to invest in a particular property, you are collecting things like estoppel certificates based on leases and lease abstracts. You're creating an investment memo, which is what I'll show second. The second use case demo is kind of the key demonstration I'm going to have here for you today. All these documents and things that go into creating an investment memo. And then I'll talk about, things like compliance and regulatory. Say you are already managing properties, or you're thinking about after this deal where you've invested in this property, wanting to be aware of all of the regulatory and compliance concerns for whatever your properties are. And we're going to be creating basically a specialized agent for each of these different tasks. But they'll all be related, and I'll hope you'll get a sense for that as we get going here. We have Mohammed here helping out with question and answer. So if you have questions at any time during the talk today, there's a Q&A widget in the Zoom interface. Just click on the Q&A, drop your questions in at any time, and we'll get those answered for you. Thanks again to Mohammed for helping out with that. Great. Okay, so just to start off very quickly about what AI agents are and how they relate to workflow automation. You can think of these as the next generation autonomous systems. So beyond what you might have been thinking about AI as, even as recent as last year, this is kind of a new paradigm, a new format where these are combining these foundational models that you might hear about from the big AI companies with memory systems, so the ability to look at documents and data, and then also intelligence on top of that, so the ability to process that information and also suggest decision. So to facilitate decision making is a big emphasis here. It's doing a lot of the work to allow you to get to the decision making part much faster. And it can do these tasks independently. So you'll see how they can take in information, handle them without any additional, hand holding after you've given them the initial set of instructions, and then perform those tasks independently. And unlike simple chatbots, these are agents can be using tools. So connecting to these document stores, like I mentioned, even connecting to the internet to look up additional information. That's a new feature that we've just started incorporating in beta into this product as well. It can do things like running calculations. So it's not just extracting information, it's actually doing some processing, intelligent processing on top of this. And what you can end up with are these deep analytic reports, deep analyses that you can then use to, again, move towards the higher level thinking, the non trivial work that you would probably rather be spending your time doing instead of working with all these manual documents. And this is why AI agents are great. They're good as essentially junior analysts or document processors with intelligence, not just a mechanical system. What Kalena is a platform for these agents. It takes in data from wherever your data lives via, for example, if you have your documents stored in a document storage platform online, where you've got your data room, your deal room information, your leases, wherever it is, property management platforms, all these different things can connect as a data source to the agents. The platform is effectively where all of your agents live. It's where you build them. It's where they live, and you can go in and manage them. That's what I'm going to be showing for you today in just a second after this slide. And all of the output for these agents that is processed goes to a destination. That could be, again, just like the data sources, it could really be anywhere, wherever you want your data to live. So it could be, like a PDF report that you consume. It gets emailed to you, for example, or it could go to another data storage location where you like to have all of your data live. It can be automatically sent in a structured format like a CSV to another tool if you're using another downstream tool for analysis. The point is that these agents kind of live in between, live in the middle. So they take in data and then they output data according to the general instructions that you've given them. And you can think of them again, sort of like analysts or specialized employees in a way that can process this information and get it to where you get it in the format that you want and get it to where you want it to go. And Kalena is the platform that facilitates all of this, these agents creation. Great. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and jump into the use case demos. The first demo I want to show for you today is going to be for a lease abstraction use case. And I'm going to go ahead and exit my slide deck and just jump over to the platform here. This is effectively the homepage for Kalena agents right now. These are a whole bunch of agents that I've created previously, but I'm going to show you the full process here today. So the first thing I'm going to do is just click Create New Agent. You get presented with this dialog, and the way that we interact with these agents, the way that you're going to create them is just through natural language. So the first thing I want to do is, give it the general objective. What do I want this agent to do? And what I want it to do is create lease abstract from a variety of property documents. We could also, if we wanted, this can be any kind of agent instruction, but we've also got some templates set up for some common use cases here. You can see that we actually have lease abstraction already ready as a template. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. But otherwise, if we did this, it would pretty much do the same thing since we gave it similar instructions. This is the kind of onboarding flow for creating a new agent. When we're looking at a new agent, basically what we're going to do is we're going to give it some initial set of documents. In this case, I'm going to give it a lease, and then it's going to use that. We're effectively building a template for the instructions. And then forever after we give it these instructions, anytime we send it a document, it'll run through those instructions. So we only have to do this process once. This is a kind of a one-time setup. You might do some tweaking later on, but otherwise you can think of this as a one-time setup. I'm going to do a manual upload here, but this could all come in via email, and we support a lot of different file types. I'm going to be showing a PDF here in a moment, but we also take in images, web pages, audio even. So all kinds of different documents, they can all come in together. Great. So first thing I'm going to do is I want to show off just this office lease. So I'm dropping in a PDF. I'm going to go ahead and click submit. This is going to trigger the system to basically start processing this document, and it'll take us in a moment to another interface where we can take a closer look at it. So here's the document that I've just uploaded. We can take a little closer look here. This is just an office lease that I've kind of filled in some mock information for, but this is one of the varieties of office lease that you might encounter. The format of it is not important. The system is very good. These AI agents are very good at handling different kinds of formatting. So it doesn't, if your lease doesn't look like this, that's no problem. This is just an example I'm going to work with. You can see that it has a lot of the usual information that is relevant to a lease. It's several pages long, all kinds of information. Some things are, like these signatures are not standard text or whatever, so it could be a handwritten form. That's also no problem. And to get started, all we have to do is kind of give it some initial instructions. We call on these extractions, like what information do we want to get out of this? So for example, if we wanted to just know, like who is the lessor in this case? And over here, we can see that Leonard Properties is the lessor, lessing to Koala AI. What's happening here after I click create is that the system is intelligently rewriting the prompt based on knowing what our objective is. So we can see here that it rewrote its own instructions to understand what we're looking for. It even knows where to look for it because it has the context of this information. I didn't provide this instruction to look in the party section. It just knows that that exists here. We can see that it found the correct information, Leonard Properties LLC. We can even see where it found that information. It has a citation with the page numbers for where it found this information. And it provides a reasoning statement that actually describes exactly how it found this information. All of this is here in order for you to trust and verify that the information that the AI agent is processing, that's generating, aligns with the document, the source information. And we incorporate a confidence score here so that you know roughly how confident the system is that it's found exactly what you're looking for. If you see confidence high, that means there's a very good chance that you can trust the information, but at any time you can always come in and verify anything manually. Great, so that's a simple extraction. The next thing I might want to take a look at is, like let's say I want to know what is the lease type. So I want to know not just, I'm not just extracting a value. I kind of want to understand, like based on all of the different types of leases that I might see, which type is this? And you can see here that, again, it's rewritten this. It understands that these kinds of terms are often, these kinds of terms are often used in the document. And we can see that it correctly identified this as gross. Now, what I want to do is I want this to be like a specific classification. So if you want, you can always come in and do these manual changes to it. So in this case, it was extracting it as a text type, but I want it to be a classification. So in this case, if I wanted it to know, I want gross to be a type, I want net to be a type, and modified gross. It could be whatever it is. And you don't necessarily have to type these in manually. I could have also said suggest improvement, and that would regenerate those in a different way. So I'll go ahead and click update, and it'll change this so that that's now a classification type. This is just another type of feature that it can do. We wanted to show that off just as a way of highlighting that goes beyond extracting information. We're going to go another step further while that's generating. It should only take a second there. The next thing I want to do is let's think about, I want to know, we can also extract true false type statements, Boolean type statements. So if I would just want to know, like, has this been signed by everyone? Like, has this been executed? Has the lease been signed and executed by all parties? And what that will do is that will come up as a new type of extraction. This is the third of the 5 types that we extract here, and it's just going to be, it should come out as true or false. That'll load in a second there. But we can get a little bit more complicated. So far, I've kind of shown just like basic extractions, and I just wanted to show that this is, you can get whatever information that you want. But to show the intelligence here, some more like actual synthesis, you can see that it's actually been fully signed by everybody, which is correct. What I want to do is I want to have a more, let's say I want to have like a table of an executive summary. So I'm going to give it instructions to create an executive summary table with key information. And in this case, I'm actually going to tell it to look for specific things, including the information below. So what I'm going to do is I already have, I'm imagining I'm someone who processes these lease abstracts all the time. I actually already have this document here, kind of a template for the kind of executive summary that I want for these lease abstracts. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to manually copy these out, just copy and paste this, and I'm going to say, use those. And this way, if you already are having a kind of lease abstract that you want, whatever kind of output format that you like to have, we can see that the system can take that in. It intelligently understands to make this a table, and it's going to do all of these things based on what I gave it. So that way we can, have a lease summary that looks the way that we want, and we can tell it exactly what we want. Or we could have, let it choose relevant information, and because it has this greater context about what's important here, it would have been able to do that. So we can see that it found all this information, kind of put it in this table format for us. We could adjust this however we like. So if we wanted it to have, I want it to have, I'm just going to click suggest improvement, which means I'm giving a natural language instruction here. And I want it to actually format the table as an item column and a value column. And what that will do is it'll use this to rewrite its own prompts. Basically, we're giving feedback on what the prompt it did. And so now we can see that it rewrote its instructions to create a two-column table. That way it's going to do it in the way that I want. And I was just giving those instructions, that kind of feedback, in the same way that I would to, an individual person. And it understands that in kind of a conversational capacity, which is very cool. So that should only take a second here. But another thing that I want to show here, oh, there we go, great, perfect. So this is the output format that I wanted. It looks just like that document that I had before. Now we're going to get all of these things as we're going are generating this report over here, which is just the same information. We can see everything that we're kind of building up our lease abstract over here. We can include to show the reasoning. So if we wanted to see exactly where all this information came from, this is the same thing we saw over here before, but now it's included in the actual document if we'd like. We can download this either as a PDF or as a docx. We can print it out. We can share it with other people in the organization. We can have this automatically dropped into an outpost destination like a folder, which I'll show in a minute. And yeah, let's just show, I want to show just one or two more things here just to show the power of what is possible here. So if we wanted to do, if we wanted to have some calculation built in, what I want to know, for example, often with these leases is, what is the base rent, let's call it a schedule, including, any escalations, for example. And what I'm wanting it to understand here, and what I expect it to understand here, if you look over here in the document, we can see that there's this clause 1.5a where there's free rent. The base rent for the second month of the lease shall be 100% abated, meaning that second month of the lease is free. And that means that that should be reflected here in this base rent schedule. And we can see that it's been shown as $0, 100% abated for this. If I wanted to have it formatted as a table, I could go ahead and change that to, say, format this as a table. But we can see exactly where it got this information. We can see the reasoning here, all of this information. Great, perfect. Now, let's say I want to understand, like a particular calculation. So let's see, I want to know what is the remaining lease obligation from, let's say, today, March 26th, 2025. So this is just, an arbitrary date. It just shows today. That information is not in the document. This is not something it would be able to find in the document. So what it's actually going to do is it's going to take this information. It understands this rent schedule now. There are different rent values being charged in this schedule here. We can see that, for up until December of this year, it's at this rate, but then after that, it's going to change. It's going to escalate a little bit. And we can see we've already got this result here, and we can see that it's actually calculated this based on that information that it found. And we can see that it knows and understands that there's different rates and understands how long that those rates are in effect. It's done these separate calculations, and we can see, it's basically showing its work. And we're getting this final value, which has been calculated intelligently based on information that wasn't directly in the document. There was a couple of processing steps that were required here. And again, this all gets thrown into the report. So we already automatically can have this generated. Anytime we throw in a new Office document, we'll get that information. So it's very powerful. You can do quite a bit of intelligent processing here with this information. So the one thing I haven't shown here, you notice that there's this onboarding flow up here at the top. We've uploaded the lease, we've added extractions. Connections are how you start to automate this. So if I wanted to add a connector, I'm just going to click continue. There are sources and destinations, just like I showed you on the slide before. And for example, if I wanted to be having these, anytime I have a new lease come in that I want abstracted, we can have it pull from any of these different sources. If you're using a cloud storage service like Amazon or Microsoft Azure Box, I'm just going to show a connection to Google Drive because it's simple, and I'm just showing a little simple example here. But what I'm going to do is this is connected to my Google Drive account. I have a folder here that I've set up where I'm going to be dropping in lease documents into this folder. So I'm going to go ahead and choose that, click confirm, and then I want to say, okay, after you come over to the destinations, this is where we want the information to end up. So same thing, where I want the lease abstract to end up will be in this folder. It'll generate them. In this case, by default, it's a JSON document, but it can be any kind of output format that you want. And then whenever we come over here, so I'm going to show you the lease documents here. So if I were to drop in, let's say, another document, I'm just going to pull up this over here. Got another lease. Let's go ahead and throw in this one. Now, what that's going to do is it's uploaded that, and effectively the agent is kind of monitoring this destination or this source information for new documents. And when new documents come in, it'll automatically start processing them, and it'll generate that lease abstract and drop it in that folder. I just showed it as this Google Drive connection, but you can imagine this being anywhere, including whatever property management software that you might be using, for example. And that'll show up here. You can see that there was already one in that folder, so it's actually started processing these automatically. So this is the first one that we did together, that Office lease where I showed creating all these extractions. And now it's automatically doing all of those same extractions for these new documents that were just discovered in that folder. And this is to highlight just that you don't have to do all of that, what I just showed you. You don't have to do that every time. You really only have to do it once. Maybe tweak it a little bit based on different things that you're noticing or different preferences that you have, or policy changes internally, whatever you're looking at. But forever after, you have this agent that's just going to do it automatically, accurately, without getting tired or bored, and handle it pretty seamlessly without any kind of additional manual effort. And that's what makes these AI agents so impactful in terms of time saving and cost savings. They can do all of this really without too much additional input. So you'll end up with, I just want to show kind of like a more complete version. I've extracted a lot more fields here, quite a bit more information, things like extracting amendments, other things. We end up with this substantial report, which can be customized however we like. And just to return to the larger frame for this webinar, we can also imagine this creating an estoppel certificate. So if you had a form that an estoppel form or information to create an estoppel certificate, this would be kind of a very similar flow here. And the reason I'm mentioning that is that I want to show next an investment memo creation. Before I do that, though, if you want to try out this lease abstraction agent right now, we've got something cool set up where if you are if you email us to this email address, basically this email address is now being monitored by the agent. I'll show that in a second. If you email in some documents, say a lease, it could also include a lease plus a separate document with amendments. There can be multiple documents. The AI agent will process that just like I saw, just like I dropped it in the Google Drive, and then we'll email you back the output. So if you want to try this right now or after the webinar, however you like, email this email address, lease-agent@kalena.com. Cool. Just wanted to throw that out there as a cool way to try it. I'm going to go ahead and jump back into the demos now. So this is kind of a larger demo that I want to show off here is creating a real estate investment memo. So the idea here is we want to create something that's going to create investment memos for, I'm going to show a commercial real estate. And this objective instructions is kind of setting the stage again for like what kinds of information is relevant, how the agent is going to help us with understanding what extractions we like. What I'm going to show for you now is, last time we were just looking at one document, but now I want to show that it can handle many documents, as many documents as you have that are relevant. So in this case, I've got one set up for this kind of fictionalized property, or at least partially mocked property called the Bayview Office Center. We've got a lot of information here. I'm going to go ahead and select most of these files here, just drag and drop those in. So I'll show exactly what's in these in a second here. But this includes things like CapEx information, several lease abstracts for the tenants in the office. There's a T12 P&L spreadsheet here. So we're taking in not just these documents. These are image formats or image files here, .pngs. There's some property tour notes, some zoning summary. I'll show that in a second as soon as this finishes loading. But actually, let me just show you the document over here, since I can just open the file in the viewer here. We can see that this is just one of the documents that I uploaded. We're looking at this fictional, or at least partially fictional, Bayview Office Center in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. This is an offering memorandum that was submitted by this mock company here. It's got property summary as an investment summary. You can see some key information that we're going to want to have our MEP agent extract. Investment highlights, lots more information. There's a rent roll document, lots of information here. This is the offering memorandum, so it has a lot of relevant information for our investment memo. We want our investment memo to be a little bit more thorough and neutral, for one thing, incorporating like all of the benefits, but also the risks, the upside, but also the potential risks here. Just to show quickly some of these other documents, we've got images in here. We've got an engineering risk evaluation. So this is something that we're adding in to provide as context for our investment memo agent. We've got lease abstracts for quite a lot of our tenants. So these are kind of simplified versions of what we might have just created using that other agent, but you can imagine these being provided. We've got a lot of lease abstracts, so for all the different tenants in there. We've got some, got this spreadsheet with, this is the T-12 P&L we can see for the past year here. And, some property notes that were taken by somebody who visited the property. These are multi-page documents all. Great. I just want to show that there's all this information here is now going to be considered. We don't have to tell the agent which documents to look at. It'll understand, and it'll give us citations when it's looking at any given document. So let me just come back over here. First thing that we, excuse me, first thing that we, just to demonstrate real quickly, like what is the property name? I'm just going to click create. If we were to click configure, it would send us to the instruction thing. Create just means, I trust you to give it a first pass, and it'll run automatically. Configure manually would also let us just provide all of the instructions manually for kind of like a power user use case. But really, a lot of the power here is that Kalena is intelligently rewriting this prompt. We're using our own prompt engineering understanding, so you don't have to understand how to optimally prompt these AI agents. We're helping take care of that for you. You can just rely on your own intuitive instructions. I also want to know, like, what kind of asset type is this? Go ahead and throw that in as the next one. And we can do these all manually. If we want to have these all as individual fields, that's totally fine. You can do this however you like. But what I want to show is a way to create kind of a summary of key facts very quickly without having to necessarily do these all one by one. So what I want is to have it, what are the key facts for this property? And we could give it further instructions if we wanted to, but I want to see, what kinds of, using its contextual understanding, using all the documents that it has here, it understands that we're trying to create an investment memo, so it knows that the goal output should have the kinds of contents that an investment memo would have, what kinds of information that includes. So let's take a look. Here, it's rewritten this prompt to understand that we're looking for, like address, of course, zoning, permitted uses, development standards, understanding factual details that are going to be important. It knows that this is going to be a table. And what we should end up with is a lot of the information that has been provided here in the property summary. We could also have told it to simply extract the property summary if we would have liked that. In this case, some of this information is already provided in the memorandum, but we can see here this is actually provided. It's included a bit more information, or a slightly different set of information from what's over here. So we can see that this also has, for example, zoning information. That's from a zoning document down here, where we can see that this is Boulevard Business District B1. So we've got that information here. So this is going to very quickly let us generate some key property facts. We can see which documents it took this from. We can see where it pulled that from in the documents. We can see the reasoning for that. If we wanted to, give it instructions to look for more things or to include, let's say I wanted to have it include the, what was that called? The property summary, I think it was. Property, I believe it was property summary. Yeah. Include the fields in the summary. It'll rewrite that prompt. It'll basically enrich this table to include that information as well. So while that's running, looks like I forgot to click. Oh no, it's still running. Okay, great. Great. Another thing, since this is, a commercial office property, though we have different tenants in here. Let's see, we can find them. There was an overview of tenants. Here we go. It's kind of like a tenant profile. And in this case, I have lease abstracts for these tenants. So we can see these are ones that I kind of generated, but we have lots of information here. So I want to know, like, what are the tenants rates, so we can know what are the tenants rent rates. And this will effectively give us kind of a summary instead of us having to manually look at each of these lease abstracts to pull out this rent information. We'll have that done for us automatically, which again, huge time savings. And if, for example, we wanted to know, like some calculations, we could also do, in this case, I think some of this information is already provided. I keep skipping here we go. Like the net operating income is provided here. These occupancy rates, these are things that are pretty relevant that I probably want to have included in the investment memo here, that it'll include and generate them. But we could also ask, like just what is the net operating income? And if we had other documents where that needed to be calculated, it would also be able to do that. But just wanted to show that while I was generating this. Now we have a table which shows all of the different tenants that are in here. We can see that we have where they are, the base rent information that we pulled from the lease abstract. If we wanted to have it include other information, we could provide that instruction manually. Great. So what I want to show now is, we're generating this investment memo, excuse me. We have kind of whatever properties extract information we want. We can also be doing something like create an executive summary. So if we wanted to have, you know, and I wanted to incorporate uh, additional information from all documents provided, not just, not just the offering memorandums summary. They have an investment summary here. We want kind of a similar style investment summary that's actually going to incorporate all the information here. So we could have, there's information about risks and other things like that in the document. And so what we'll end up with is something that we can then use to kind of more intelligently take a look and flesh out this memo here. While that's running, let's say that you had these lease abstracts provided by, you source them from the seller maybe or whatever. But let's say you actually got some new estoppel certificates, which is kind of bringing this back to the theme. And what I'm going to do is actually just add those manually now. So what we can do is I'm going to add some new fields, some new files, that I got these new estoppel certificates, which are from a couple of the tenants here. I didn't upload these originally. These are just two documents that I got here. Let's see. Yep. Great. Go ahead and add in, there's three of them, three of these new estoppel certificates. And I'm going to give it an instruction. What I want it to do is I want it to, help me understand, are there any discrepancies? So I can give it an instruction like that, like, are there discrepancies between any of the lease abstracts and that tenant's estoppel certificates? Format the output as a table. And what I've done is I deliberately included here, so this is the lease for Koala AI, and I included an estoppel certificate here, which actually has a discrepancy, or rather, what they reported, what the tenant reported in the certificate is that they're paying a slightly different rent than what is shown in the lease abstract. And since we have now both of this information, originally we just had the lease abstract, but we also have this estoppel certificate, including also, we have some other estoppel certificates from the others. What we've got here already is this table here. So what we found is that there are some discrepancies here. The monthly base rent for this one, for Qualo AI, there's actually 4 different discrepancies here. We can see what the lease abstract reported and what the estoppel certificate reported. And so immediately, automatically, anytime we have all of the context here together, you could have imagined putting in all of these certificates, all of this documentation in at the same time. It doesn't necessarily have to be something you come in and add later, but it could be. You're going to have an automatic report of these discrepancies, which you can then follow up on or modify your report to incorporate this information such that you're getting to the final report format instead of having to do additional processing because documents differ or have discrepancies between them. So this is a huge time saver and also is really good at catching these kinds of things, which otherwise might be, missed by human review simply because they're very subtle details, and there are lots of details that people are looking through when they're trying to extract this information. It can be very subtle sometimes. So the difference can be very subtle and, kind of overlooked by the human brain. But these AI agents don't really have that problem. They're very good. They're very meticulous and detail-oriented in this case because of the way that they're designed and the way that we're prompting them and the kinds of instructions that it has. And it's, it never gets tired. And it can handle this at 100% efficiency, 100% energy all the time. So this was an example of, I wanted to show just that, this is another way of taking in information, just like the kind that we created with the lease abstract. You can imagine, taking in that information using it to build up the kind of investment memo that we really want to have and take a look at. So we can see here that it generated a bit more substantial of an investment summary there. Got the discrepancies here at the bottom. One last very cool feature that I want to show. It's just in beta right now, but if, for example, we wanted to know, sort of like nearby properties, we want to get a sense for the comparables in the market nearby. What we can do is have it search the web for additional information. So, like what are nearby office properties near this location? And this is a beta feature, so it's still being refined, but what this will do is it's actually going to take in, it's going to do some web searching and provide that information. And just for the sake of time, I'm actually going to jump to the a completed version of this because I want to move on quickly. This is the same property, all the same information. I've just already done some of these extractions before. And what I wanted to show is these nearby office properties. What this did was it found these other locations nearby. It searched the internet, loopnet.com in this case is where it pulled these nearby locations. It pulled in, the rates, how close they are. So we can start to get some of this market comparison, immediately here without even having to pull in a separate document. This is kind of like a way to quickly enrich whatever information you have if you don't have necessarily like another report or document that's ready to be incorporated here. Obviously, if you do, then that's great. We can incorporate it directly as a file. But this is just another way that you can enrich your report with information that's not even included in any of the data that you started with, which is very cool. Very cool application that I'm kind of still even just understanding for myself the power of expanding on ways to use this. And yeah, I also, let's see, I think I created a fuller report, maybe not. Great, let me actually just check this report format here. This is, it's showing all the information that we had before. I kind of just added a little bit more, extracted some individual things that I might care about if I want to have them, at high level. We even got like a demographic profile here, so we can see information about who lives nearby, all these things to help us make a decision. The next thing I want to show is this zoning considerations thing. And so I'm going to actually show that as my third agent here. And let me actually start from scratch so that you can see this. So I'm going to create a new agent. And so let's say that you've invested in that property and or you're still considering investing in that property and you want to understand, like what are the regulatory constraints here based on the locale and the jurisdiction, or if it's a housing association or whatever it is, whatever legal constraints there are that you want to make sure that you're in compliance with, either because you're trying to stay in good compliance because you own the property, or because you're trying to assess whether you're interested in investing in the property, or you're managing properties, portfolio of properties, and you just want to understand how these regulations affect that location. That's what we're going to create an agent to help us handle. So the instructions here I want to give it are to create basically a summary of regulatory and compliance concerns for commercial office. Keep inverting this here. Commercial office property. Same thing here. And I guess while we're on this page, I just want to show some of these other, use cases. Data entry, very obvious one, but compliance validation is another one that I'm kind of showing here. In this case, I'm going to drop in this. Let's see, where did I put it? There is a. Oh, it's over here. I generated this for Fort Lauderdale, which is the locale for this office that we're looking at. I generated this regulatory agreement, and this follows the structure of a real regulatory agreement, for Orange County in California, but I changed it to Fort Lauderdale because that's where our sample document or property is from. But you can see that this is, it's of the form of a regulatory agreement with restrictive covenants. It's pretty substantial. There are, it's a legal document, a lot of legalese. There are, city requirements as to restricted spaces and how they can be used. Um, uh, all these things about termination of tenancy, non-discrimination, qualified commercial tenants, property management, lots of information, tons of information. Obviously, this, is a slog to read through manually. There's just a lot of detail, a lot of information. And so what our agents are going to help us with is to make this just much simpler and faster to get a summary of. So if I wanted to get a sense for, like what are the, just at a high level, I want to understand right away, like what are the regulatory compliance requirements? And the idea is we're generating this report. Let's see, it's gonna generate this as text, but I think I might change that to be in a table. Let me see what it comes out with first. And let's say I also want to understand what are the reporting requirements. What are the reporting requirements? Because we want to understand, like what has to be reported, when does it have to be reported, to help us ensure that we're staying on top of our compliance, making it easy to stay in compliance without having to stress about, extracting all that information. Here we've got kind of a summary. I might format that as a table if I preferred that, but very quickly, what it's done is it's scanned this whole document. It could be of any arbitrary length. It could be hundreds of pages even. And we can automatically get things that are relevant to what we're looking for. So we could also have it include in here if we were looking for particular, clauses related to the kind of plan that we have for the property. If we wanted to have, like a new type of tenant, or we wanted to make some kind of modification to the lot to, take care of something new and different, then that is something we could include in the prompt to have it include, extract that information or highlight that information in particular. And down here we can see, some of the reporting requirements. And so there's an annual compliance report due by February 15th of each year. All this, a few more things that have to be reported and when they have to be reported. That's all included in the report, or this could be generated as a little table, which could then be sent to, any kind of like project tracking software that you're using, whatever it is. Basically, you've got this information very quickly and it's been taken care of, extracted from this long document. Now, just to show another example, here's an example of using the same kind of thing this is for a housing agreement. We see we've got another type of document here, very similar. This is what the kind of the basing was for the other one. This is from Orange County Housing Authority in particular. So this is for housing, not a commercial office. So some of these things are a little bit different, like tenant eligibility requirements. So these are the qualifications required for these restricted units here. We can see exactly where it pulled this information and the reasoning. This one ended up generating this report in a tabular format, which is what I was looking at before. But it's got things that are now relevant to this housing use case. So Section 8 program compliance, California has a lot of additional restrictions. So there's health and safety code sections, other things related to reporting requirements, tenant eligibility, like I mentioned, housing type restrictions, all kinds of information. So this is a way that we can generate these reports to help us understand regulatory and compliance. And then if we wanted to, we could even take the output of this and take it back and input it into, like if we were thinking about this investment memo again. For example, I have a similar document in here. It's already included, but for example, there's this, like a zoning summary, which we could have modified to also include the regulatory information based on this document. So we could either drop in to that investment memo agent this full document, which would be totally fine. It would be able to understand it just in the way that it did here. or we could even, send it just this report. So after we've generated this report here in Kalena, we download it as a PDF or a doc file, docx file, and then we simply upload that over here, include it in this information, and then that could then be part of our investment memo thesis. So if we wanted to have our investment memo include a report of these compliance issues and these compliance requirements, and that's something that we could do as well. So just to stress here that this is basically, these agents can handle pretty much every stage of these real estate workflows. So if before a deal, like you're doing due diligence, or if you're managing properties and you want to be extracting information from leases and amendments as they come in, and all of these changes to these documents, these agents can handle pretty much any form of that. When I showed you the end-to-end creation of 3 separate agents here, really didn't take very long at all. It hasn't even been an hour yet. And we've got 3 of these agents that are now running automatically. So another quick reminder, if you want to try this out, if you want to try out the lease agent, the lease abstraction agent that I showed you, go ahead and email us here at lease.agent@kalena.com. We'll send you the output of basically the template that I showed you here today. It's going to be running through that agent. It's not limited to that agent. So what we send you back, is just the one that I've created. It's not necessarily a complete example. It's not restricted to that. You can have it be in any kind of format that you like. Great. So the key message here is that these are really accelerating workflows. You're extracting information from all of these different sources. You're automating a lot of tedious work. The results that you're going to get in the main reason I'm showing this slide is that people are orders of magnitude more throughput. Data entry becomes like 100x faster. And it's not an exaggeration, because you saw that it was extracting this information in seconds from these dozens of pages long documents. And just it's not possible for any human to ever be anywhere near that. So these AI agents are incredible at that. A lot fewer errors, and able to handle like all the information that you have. And the one of the big advantages that Kalena has is this history of working with AI quality. Our initial product was an AI testing and evaluation platform that really helped companies to build the best performing AI products through a systematic understanding of how to evaluate and how to implement these quality checks when you're building an AI product. So this is kind of showing how these things are built in throughout the product. This is just showing an example of one of these extractions. The first thing that we do for you is these automatic prompt optimization for the most accurate results. The way that these models work, these foundational models like ChatGPT, is they work better for certain tasks if you understand how to give them instructions. But what we're doing is helping to format it in the way that these models best received without you having to understand that knowledge. We're kind of coming in and improving, rewriting, refining it so that it's the best, that's going to give you the best result based on just your intuitive, simple instructions. So I was giving it, kind of like 1-sentence instructions. I could have given it something more substantial, but the idea is it's reformatting it in the way that will work best based on all of the research that we've done internally and in public. The citations are a huge part of this in terms of building trust. This is a reason that you don't have to worry about hallucinations here when you're generating this stuff, is that there is a trace, basically, a trail where you can go and that the AI is using to make sure that it's not hallucinating, is that it's grounding its report, its reasoning based on a specific document and even, like a specific place within that document. And that's all provided so that you as a human can go and verify that. We provide, this, there's the opportunity when I'm suggesting an improvement, like when I gave it the new natural language instructions telling it, I want it to include this, or make sure you think about this. That's all, continuous improvement forever after you give it that improvement. Anytime it's processing a document, it'll understand that because it'll have incorporated that knowledge into its instructions. You don't have to tell it that every time. It basically understands that now forever after it should improve itself based on what you've told it. And that's applied across every time you do a document. The the reasoning here is another very powerful thing, particularly because I showed you how you could do these complex calculations, these complex things that are beyond an extraction. That's what we're calling it in the interface, but it's not just extracting information that's there. It's taking that information and working with it and generating something using actual reasoning. And then that reasoning is provided so that you can understand and trust that the result that it got to, which is not something you would find in the document, is actually trustworthy and something that you can and then leverage. And then finally, we kind of build in our own evaluations into the product so you don't even have to think about how much to trust this so much. We give basically a confidence score, and that's based on our own internal quality checks behind the scenes, like how well is each step working here. And then from your perspective, you just have to take a look at the confidence score. And if it's anything lower than high, you just take a closer look to do some manual verification and make sure that it's looking at what you want, or maybe you need to pull in additional information. If the confidence isn't high, you can understand why that is. Maybe you're missing some kind of source documentation that would be useful, and this will help you understand that. This is just, don't worry too much about the details here, but this is more to emphasize that there are quality checks built into every part of the system that we've built. So there are quality checks when you're prompting. We have this, feedback engine. Behind the scenes, we're kind of planning tasks where the AI is deciding like what to do and how to do it. And we have checks to make sure that it's doing that well when it's executing. There are checks on how well it's taking that unstructured data from these documents and turning it into structure. And then there are checks at the end when it's generating these reports to make sure that it's aligning with the objective and the instruction. And all these things are things that you don't have to worry about. These are things that we've built into the product and make it so that you can actually trust this to be running autonomously and get the full value out of these AI agents, which you otherwise, might worry. Are they working well? And in this case, you don't have to worry about that. Great. So we're pretty much at time here. I hope you've enjoyed this. We have a lot of other webinars online. If you want to check out, I did a couple more demonstrations of real estate use cases last week, 2 weeks ago. But you can find that on YouTube on our Kalena channel. We're going to have another webinar in 2 weeks on property management use cases, several more about different property managed use cases, including using images for like contractor repairs, automatic assessment for contractor repairs, for example. So a very cool use case is actually just taking in visual information as well as these contract forms. So check that out. We'll have signups up for that in a minute. If you, sorry, this is this email address is incorrect. This should be Lease Abstract. Let me go back to that previous slide. Sorry, this is the correct email address. Lease.agent@kalena.com. And if you just want to chat with us, hopefully there's a link here in the chat here. I'm actually not seeing my chat for some reason at the moment. But you can either reach out to that email address as well, or you can reach out to me at skip@kalena.com. All right. Thank you all very much for joining us today. Hope to see you next time.